But to carry on with Clark's comment about more people, raise your hand if you worked in some way, shape, or fashion on countywide landfill in the audience. So you can see there's another dozen people out here in the crowd. One of the first issues that US EPA tried to grapple with when we were asked to get involved in this was the air monitoring. And what I'm going to point out here, these red dots are where there were fixed monitoring stations that Ohio EPA had already set up. And what they were doing was every 6 days, they were pulling a 24-hour SUMA canister, which is just a metal canister that is under negative pressure with a regulator valve on it that slowly over 24 hours sucks air in. That goes off to a laboratory and gets then discharged into a GCMS that gives them an idea of what the volatiles look like inside that air. Why 24 hours? Because that's what the average citizen is going to be out there breathing over that period of time. This also just gives you a general idea of where we are. We're located right next to a major expressway, I-77, which runs from Cleveland all the way down to Marietta. So big area here that we were covering, and this was a major corridor. Thousands of cars each day went down this highway, and then you can see, and go ahead and give me that clip. You can see this. This is the village of Bolivar, which is southwest of the site. Fortunately, the predominant winds are sweeping across the site from the southwest. There was a campground, a KOA campground up there that was pretty significantly impacted, and this was a low spot on the highway here. So people driving by here would smell it on their way to work, and that was a lot of the complaints came that way. These are what the community air monitors look like that the Ohio EPA Division of Air Pollution Control had set up. And again, this is that SUMA canister. It's upside down. The regulator valve is there, and then there's a little wind station there to give them an idea of wind speed and direction over the course of that 24 hours. And you can see off in the distance there is the site. What we did was we brought out one of our, what we call the TAGA bus. It's the Trace Atmospheric Gas Analyzer. There's 3 of these in the United States. One of them's in Edison, New Jersey, one of them's out in Las Vegas, and one of them's probably at a tailgater for the Bulls game. But what this thing can do is we can drive this around a site, drive it around a community. For example, the Super Bowl, the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention, this thing's driving around the perimeter of these events, and it draws in ambient air, and there's actually a GCMS in there that gives us real-time readings for what's in the air, and we can trick this bus out for just about any compound. We can trick it out for biological, we can trick it out for chemical as well. It also has a tube coming off it that's like a vacuum cleaner. This is my colleague Dave McCunis from New Jersey, and you can actually draw air in around wellheads or around cracks or around sumps to get a real idea right on the spot what it looks like. Inside the bus, this is some of the technology inside the bus. We can plot it with GPS real time what we're seeing, and this is actually just the bus driving around the community. So this gave us, and what we targeted were volatiles. We targeted BTEX when we drove around this. Drove around the site. We also brought out a device called an ultraviolet light differential optical absorption spectrometer, the UV DOAS. This is that bowl area that Kurt talked about with the 40, 50 foot of settlement. That's what it looked like up on top. And what we wanted to know was what sort of off-gassing were we getting off of this, even though there was a membrane down there. There was a temporary membrane down there. What happens here is this thing emits ultraviolet light from a tripod on this end, and this side absorbs the light. And as the compounds move through that beam, the light absorbs the different compounds at different rates, and it actually goes into a trailer, actually a horse trailer, where we have a computer where it gives us real-time measurements. So we set this thing up for 72 hours and watched it over 24-hour cycles to see what kind of emissions we were getting off of the landfill.